freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round one recap for this week's Mexico Open. Joining me to break it all down from Mexico, Mark Immelman is here. Hello, Mark.
Buenos dias, Rick. I think it would be the appropriate way to greet you. Right. Yeah, it's lovely. We landed here. The weather is gorgeous, like mid 85s, not very humid. It's breezy this afternoon. It always is. The golf course, I spoke to a few players. They're all raving about the condition that the place is in. So I'm looking forward to walking around you. It's a good spot and a fun event.
Well, I'm actually happy you mentioned the wind kicking up in the afternoon, because that's exactly what we saw on Thursday. The morning wave was nearly a shot and a half under par, with the afternoon wave playing closer to even par. So almost a shot and a quarter or so difference between the two waves. That's likely to be expected every day, Mark, or something close to that?
Yeah, it's like that. That's to be expected. I mean, any coastal golf course, you're going to see that, because in the morning when the tides are essentially out, I sound like Faldo now with the tides, but the tides affect the winds, and when the tides come in the afternoon, then the winds will freshen. But it's a weird sort of a setup here, because the way the golf course sits, the ocean kind of wraps around it for about a quarter of the golf course, and then you've got the mountains in behind, so there's a bit of a buffer. But it's pretty well one directional, the wind. And I did want to mention, when we flew in, the lady who handles transport from the airport to the hotel for us for CBS and security, incidentally, also, she's like, "Hey, how you doing? So good to see you." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's good to be back." And she goes, "You see this out here?" She goes, "We can't find a parking spot." They reckon the folks have shown up here en masse for this golf tournament this week, and she goes, "The roads are too small for all the fans we've got." And I'm like, "Well, this is a good thing." So I was excited that the fans are showing up, and I'm looking forward to maybe a little vibe over the weekend.
The roads are too small. That's not one that I've heard recently. That's also the problem with getting in and out of Dodger Stadium, Mark. They built it like in this. There's no way in. There's no way out.
Well, the great places are like that. I mean, think of all of the great golf courses in the United Kingdom. I mean, St. Andrews, there's one road in and out of the town. Then there's three roads in town. There's North Street, South Street, and Market Street. And so it's cool. And yeah, Puerto Vallarta is a touristy place. But I saw what she was saying, because the traffic to get from the airport to the hotel, which is not even 10 miles, not even, it took a good 30 minutes. So there's folks out here and they're having a good time.
All right. I love it. Well, who else is having a good time is Austin Smotherman. Went out early. And Mark, before we even get to his scorecard, I love the idea that Austin Smotherman could be the guy who wins the Mexico Open twice, right? If he wins it this week, great. He also won it a couple of years ago, and this was a PGA Tour Latino America event. I like that little nugget, that little callback for Austin Smotherman.
That would be cool. I mean, if I've got him on the weekend, I'm going to use that one. I will credit you somehow. But it's funny that, when I was on the plane, I was trying to keep up with some of the golf, watch some of it on PGA Tour Live, and I was watching the scoring and stuff. And it was weird how to see him play his way to the lead at this very event last year, when we were all in town for the first time checking out the golf course. It was Thursday morning we were out there. And at that stage, Julian Trudeau was caddying for him, and Julian was a long-time caddy for Graham Dillette, and good friends with all of us. He's really helpful to us on-course announcers. And I'd watched Smotherman play at Pebble Beach earlier in the season, and he hits it. I mean, this boy can flush. And I said to Frank Nobile, I'm like, "Watch this." And so he hits a few shots, and Frank was like, "Why doesn't this guy play better?" And Julian's like, "Well, he doesn't putt so well." And I was like, "Yeah, but there's something, the greens being a little slower, to me, that levels the playing field some on the greens. And even though the wind blows, you don't have to make too big a reads. The greens are big here, and there's not too much movement on them." And so it was solid last year. I don't know where he finished, but then to switch on the scoring, to see his name up there, it was kind of like a deja vu moment, and almost one of those things where it from your website, Rick Run Good, where certain folks are just comfortable around golf courses, and apparently it is the case here for Austin Smotherman.
Yeah, speaking of turning on the switch, that's exactly what he did, because he went out in 3 under 33. That was on the back nine. Makes birdie on 3 which was his 12th hole of the day, and then finishes, Mark, with 4 straight birdies on 6, 7, 8, and 9 for an inward 30. That's 63, and we've only been here for 2 years, but that is also tying the course record.
Yeah, Big if you make a birdie on 8s, you should get a free game. If you follow that up with a birdie on 9, then you get a week's free golf and accommodation. Then if you happen to birdie 10, which is like it's a par 5, that's called a par 4. If you make 3 birdies straight there, you are gaining major strokes on the field. But that finish there, you would expect it on the par 5. It's the 6th, I think it is. They were playing it as 15. It's reachable. Then the next hole is a drivable 4 with a big green, lots of movement on that green from right to left and back to front. But someone of his power can drive even into the wind. So you would expect him to pick up a couple there. But birdieing 8, which is a brute, always into the wind, and 9, which is a difficult par 3 with water short on the left, that's a big finish there and a tremendous round for Austin.
In at 8 under 63, that is currently 2 shots clear of everybody else. We have a couple of guys finishing up with a few holes to go that could shorten that gap, but there is a logjam at 6 under. A couple of the guys who went out this morning will highlight here. Stephan Jaeger, 6 under 65, leading the field as of right now in strokes gained approach, Mark, and he burns a couple of edges with the putter. This could have been really, really deep for Jaeger.
Yeah, it's his thing. And if memory serves, I'm sure Josh can help me. I had him in my head-to-head matchup losing to somebody. So whoever that somebody is, memory is failing me. Better get his rear end into gear because that's some good stuff. And Jaeger is, I mean, we saw what he did at that Ellie Mae Classic many moons ago when he shot like 60, 62, 63. I mean, he's ridiculous. I think the highest score he shot for the week was like 65 or something stupid. So when he gets going, he just fills it up from all corners, and that was some sort of day. And he's also the kind of player where he's gutsy, and when he's in the mix, he doesn't back down. So I've just found out here, Andrew Putnam, my guy's 3 under through 17. Andrew, if I want to win this head-to-head, I'd better get his skates on because this Jaeger, when he gets going, he doesn't let go.
Yeah, plenty of time, lots of golf to be played, only a couple shots behind for Andrew Putnam. Taylor Pendrith, another guy in 6 under 65. And Mark, it hasn't been a great year for Pendrith, just trying to get his feet underneath him a little bit. But a golf course like this, a big ballpark for a big guy who hits it a long way and is just super talented, you thought this might be a place where he might be able to snap out of his slump a little bit.
Yeah, it's wide. It's wide off the tee. We talked about that in the pregame show, and that's the sort of thing that he needs. I did talk with him. Look, this is a ways back. It feels like just the other day. It was in the hotel at Torrey Pines. In fact, I think I'd just been on the golf course with you, and I walked upstairs, and we bumped into each other, and we're just chit-chatting, and I'm like, so how's the game? And he goes, man, I'm missing it in both directions. He goes, and I normally fade the golf ball because I cannot fade the thing for my life right now. And then he goes, so I'm like, well, what you trying? He goes, I'm just going to keep swinging, which was pretty refreshing. And I remember him because I looked out for him. He played better over the weekend, so maybe gaining a bit of traction. But like we said, Rick, this event, this golf course, for someone like a Pendrith, who you expect a lot of, a weaker field, wide fairways, slower greens, it's the perfect sort of a setup to go and head and make some hay and get some FedEx Cup points, make some money, climb up that ranking. Because remember, we about to be May now. Playoffs happen in August. That's happening fast, right? And it's only 70 guys getting to the playoff right now. And Pendrith should be a playoff contender. So it's time for him to do a little work.
Yeah, speaking of making money, Erik Cole's been making quite a bit of money this year, also in at 6 under 65. The way that he did it was out in 3 under, in 3 under. That is 6 under 65. Only one blemish on the card. It was actually his first hole of the day. Number 10 made a bogey 5 there, but rights the ship very, very quickly. Mark, I want to zoom out a little bit and remind everyone that Erik Cole has played a mini tour event this year, right? It was the week before that great run at Honda where he was playing a mini tour event that he won for $1,300, right? We are a far cry from $1,300 winnings for Erik Cole at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if the hotel we're in is $1,300 a night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a far cry. And look, I'm not supposed to pull for people, but I'm really pulling for him to be playing well over the weekend because I want to watch him play again and have him in our afternoon broadcast Saturday certainly, and hopefully even Sunday because the Erik Cole I remember and I told you guys was the talented young kid with a great father's an awesome golfer. Tournament winner, beautiful swinger of the club. Mom was a star, Laura. And this boy's just got all the genes for it. But when he was playing as a collegian, he looked like $1 million. And then for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, would just kind of his alter ego would set in. And he'd turn a perfectly good 71 into like 77. And all of that time spent on the mini tours, playing that hard Scrabble stuff, learning to scrap and claw and save and make birdies from nowhere and that sort of thing. That's a skill that's learned, and credit to him for being true to his belief in himself to go ahead and because a lot of guys will just give up, right? And he never did. And then he had the big splash at the Honda. And look, he's got game. He's no flash in the pan. He really isn't. And it's a beautiful start. And the guy who played, he played decently for a while last week alongside Sam Saunders. So it seems to me like the game is rounding into shape.
Yeah, certainly is. 65, one of those in at 6 under. The big notable from the morning wave was, of course, the number one player in the world, the favorite to win this golf tournament, historically short odds. It's Jon Rahm, and it was a slow start for Rambo. A bogey on 11, his second hole of the day, a bogey on 16. He was able to offset both of those with birdies, but he made the turn at even par, and then he was able to salvage the round. Mark, we talk about this with a lot of the best players, shooting the worst score you can all the time. Well, that was 4 birdies coming in to get in at 67, 4 under par.
Yeah, he did what he had to. I would call the front 9, his second 9 that he played this morning, the easier of the two sides, and he picked up the score there. You had to figure he was probably going to feel a little antsy. He's been off for a little while, didn't play a week, played RBC, but by his own admission, the Heritage was like a blur. And it was all adrenaline based and stuff. And then you go home and you've got time to decompress and think about what you just achieved. And the media obligations, from what I'm being told, were just rampant because it's not just America, right? It's global. He's a global champion. And so I'm sure he came in with little unsurety. And you could see it in the start, but he did what he had to do. And I got to tell you, I thought 4 under par was a really good day, even though he had the better of the conditions because he found it. He started to hit really good shots. He missed on some yardages for me, which was strange because ordinarily he and Adam really get the yardages down. So that spoke to some yardages where he overshot a few greens. There was one flower especially that they didn't read very well, but then when he had to, he found a little groove, made a few birdies, again, finished with that birdie 2 on his last hole. That was big. I mean, that's the kind of thing where you could almost see that it jolted him back into like, right, tournament mode, let's go. So I don't think there's worries now. I think that 67 was, even though he's well off the pace, I think it was a tremendous start.
Yeah, did what he had to do. I like that you said that. We'll turn our attention here to the PM wave and find the big notable out of that wave. It's the guy with the second shortest odds coming into the week, Tony Finau, who is currently still out on the golf course, Mark. He is 5 under through 17. He's playing his final hole of the day. It's the par 5 18th. He's sitting in the left-hand side of the fairway with 200 yards in. So potentially another birdie or, dare I say, big bird opportunity coming for Finau to post something even better than 5 under. But all in all, one of the best rounds we're seeing out of the afternoon wave.
Yeah, if he makes the big bird on 18, given where the hole is cut, it's right over the front bunker. Something about that 18th green is always firmer. If you watch it on TV, you'll see it gets a browner look to it. It just gets baked throughout the day by the sun, and it plays firm. So coming in there from outside of 200 yards, wind would sort of be down-ish. I feel like the thing, you're going to see something from the green, so you'd have to make a long putt or pitch in. So I think birdies all but guaranteed. I know I don't like to say that with golf because stranger things happen, but I wouldn't see him making a 3. But the golf I saw him play this afternoon, he looked awfully comfortable. He had some saucy shots, man. There was a tee shot there on the 14th. I think it's 14 or 14. Yeah, the par 5 that turns back towards the mountain. It plays into a little bit of a hurting breeze. So that's the same direction as 18. So 18 will be in and off the left. And he teed this thing down, like down almost on the ground off the tee, and pulled it some, but it was just the swing and a shot that a confident guy would select because the fairway is quite wide. And he was like, had the gumption enough to tee the ball down, try and sting one down there with a driver. And I'm like, okay, this is a guy who's believing in what he's doing. And he looked comfortable on the greens. He just kept giving himself opportunities. And if you do that in golf, that's where you stack the odds in your favor. And Finau and Rahm, and I'd say, I don't even know anyone else in the field really. They know the drill. They know that if you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you're going to knock off 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you do that a few times every day, it adds up in the end. So right now, Finau's looking great to me. And I mean, wouldn't it be cool if you could almost see like a Finau-Rahm showdown, kind of a reprise of last year, but playing together? Because last year, remember, Finau was out early and he posted 63. I was on him that day where Rahm was in the final group. So it would be cool. It would be cool for TV. It would be cool for the fans down here with all the fans that are coming in. And I think, I mean, it's on the offing. Both of them look like they're playing pretty well right now.
All right. Well, holding thumbs to see if we can get a Jon Rahm and Tony Finau final pairing on Sunday. And speaking of big birds, Mark, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the South African near the top of the leaderboard who is making a move right now, coming off a big bird on number 15. Erik van Rooyen, 6 under through 15. He's got 3 holes to go. This is officially the best round on the golf course right now. And he's starting to play a little better, starting to find his game a little bit. This might be an opportunity for a breakthrough.
Well, where he grew up in South Africa, the grass is very similar to this. It's inland, but it's a coarse sort of spiny grass. The conditions wouldn't have been as pretty and as pristine as what they are here, but the grasses are the same. The greens are slow, so he will feel comfortable. He always swings it great. He's played well in Mexico before. I recall that World Golf Championships event out there, Chapultepec in Mexico City. He just is comfortable in Mexico for some reason. And so it's cool to see him playing well. I did laugh. I had a bout of Kyle Porter inside of my head where in the middle of 10 fairway, where all of a sudden you see a cameraman go down and you lose the screen and the camera is sort of showing grass. And we find out that they got swarmed by or buzzed by a swarm of bees. And that was Eric's group in the fairway, which was hilarious. And I just keep on thinking of Kyle going, this is just a normal sport, you know?
Yeah, about nine guys, caddies,
Like
players, all face down. It was a very normal sport moment for sure. That eagle was a hole out from 141 yards in the fairway on 15. So that'll get the juices flowing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, 15 is kind of your last gift. 14 is a par 5 with a big green. 15, it's a wideish fairway that's cut in half by a bunker in the middle of it, and there's water down the left, and the green's massive. So if they find the fairway, these guys have got like some sort of wedge in there. So you think it's a chance. But 16 is a sliding dogleg from left to right, out of bounds down the right, and it's long. 17 is a mean par 3 with water front and left, and then 18 is the 5. So if he can skate past 16 and 17, yeah, he could do something really special.
I'll tell you what, I'll just give you the live update. He has hit his approach on 16 to 15 feet. So he's got that for birdie. So maybe he can steal one there and then add another one on 18 and get himself. If he does that, if he makes a 15-footer, makes par on 17, makes a birdie on the par 5 18, that ties the course record.
There you go.
It's easy when I say it.
This is what the PGA Tour is. It's like, I remember when I was a young instructor coming out where you get to the golf course with your guy in the morning, the weather might have been good, but there's a bad day and you're like, okay, scoring can't be low. And you get out there and some cat shots like 62 already. And then you're like, good gracious. And they just keep coming at you and no lead's safe. And it's amazing how back in the day where sometimes you got to a golf course and you knew like, okay, if I go for 69s, I'm good. There are just certain places you have to keep the pedal to the metal. And even here, like I was going on about 16 being hard, and this cat's like, whatever, driver 7-iron, I would guess, in there tight, and he's got himself a good look.
He does indeed. Okay, we will recap the day, look forward to tomorrow, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Get breaking news.
Big news coming out of the NFL today.
Highlights and instant reactions.
The largest final round comeback in Ford championship history. We're down to the final four.
I just want to take time to analyze greatness.
Talk winners and losers with a guy who's already a big winner.
CBS Sports HQ. It's all sports all day long.
And we're back. Tonight is the NFL draft. So if you are watching us as we're live or watching us on Thursday, tonight is the NFL draft, the first round. We've got all the analysis and everything you can need locked in with the first pick podcast. So you should check that out for all your NFL draft needs. Hopefully there'll be some fireworks. I just saw that Lamar Jackson just became the highest paid quarterback ever, Mark.
Yeah, you saw that. But more importantly, I know you're an Eagles guy, but I love the draft. Falcons, I think, have got the 8th pick or something. I feel like Terry Fontenot might jump up and try and do a little dealing, but the Falcons have had a good offseason. So I'm excited right now for next season.
Yeah, the NFL does a great job of being relevant 365 days a year, right? Mm-hmm. It's the draft, and then it's going to be training camp, and then it's going to be just a machine staying relevant.
Then I'm going to ask you this. So the same folks that were crowing for more golf on Twitter, now they're like, there's too much golf. Why can't we just do golf all year round on the PGA Tour too? I mean, there's the NFL kind of keeps you engaged. Yes?
Yes, for sure. Now the NFL keeps you engaged without games, which is that's the dirty little secret, right? That's how they've unlocked everything. Is they can get you excited about a draft, they can get you excited about free agency, they can get you excited about training camp. But yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I like some fall golf.
So do I. It's not, and wherever they play golf is always 75 and sunny. I think they'll be fine. Before we jump into the odds board, Mark, I'm sure you have this favorited in your PGA Tour app, but would you like to recap the one and done selections after day one?
My guy was in bad shape. I turned on the score and I was like scrolling and I was backing and forthing, going seriously. And then I saw him. He was in second last place, I think, at one stage, 4 over through 9, Wyndham Clark, and he gamed back. He got it back to 2 over. Not in good shape. But, we've seen low scores in there. So he's going to need something good tomorrow. I don't want to say this is a throwaway week. But right now, I'm pulling for anybody except for Tony Finau.
Yeah, Wyndham Clark did claw it back 2 over par. That's the fans and you, Mark. Gary Woodland, the selection of Patrick, KP, and Kyle M. He is 4 under T12. The maybe the best pick we've got so far. He's not done the first. Yeah, Greg went with Ches Reavie, 4 under through 15. If he steals a couple $100,000 in exchange for Ches Reavie, that'd be pretty good.
Okay, this is the second time this season where I have to commend you and admit that I was a blowhard and I was spewing BS out of my mouth because I was like, are you okay? And we were going to send out the emergency crew, the paramedics for you with that pick. But my goodness, Greg knows what he's talking about, because I didn't think this place would suit Ches, but apparently I was watching him play this afternoon. He didn't change anything. He just does it again, just in the fairway, 280 on the middle of the green, make a few putts, and he looked very, very sound.
Well, through the first 15 holes, he has been great. Lots of golf still to be played. We'll see how it all shakes out. Let's look at the betting board. I believe we have this graphic here, and I'm pretty sure we've got the 2 big boys who are the favorites, and that shouldn't be, no surprise here. So the pre-tournament favorite and the pre-tournament second shortest odds, Rahm and Finau, are still, Mark, in that position. Rahm now 3-1, which is a little bit longer than you could have gotten him before the tournament started. He's currently 4 shots off the pace. And then Tony Finau at plus 320, so 3.2-1, finishing up on 18 right now. He's got 35 feet for eagle, so he is on the dance floor. They are the only 2 golfers shorter than 14-1. So odds makers are sticking with the 2 at the top.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I don't want to be the guy that's got the shadow leaderboard, as you and your cronies call it,
No, go ahead. Embrace the real lead, Mark.
No, the real lead right now is 63. Okay. But as I look down here and I look at those numbers, I'd said, because I picked Rahm in one of my outrights, you'd be stupid not to bet a field like this. And even at 300 plus 300, I'd lay a few shekels on that. But Eric Cole, he contended at Honda and showed he wouldn't go away because everyone was waiting for him to fold, and he didn't. He hung in there, and but for a miraculous wedge rally from Chris Kirk, you could have had a different winner. And the grass there in South Florida is sort of similar to this. It's not paspalum, but it's the same sort of spiny, grainy sort of thing where the ball, you got to read grain and stuff like that. So this is where I feel like he could really shine. Wind blows. He lives down in Southeast Florida. He's used to that. A lot of this golf course turns from right to left a little bit, and that's right up his alley. So I'd have a flutter there with Eric Cole at plus 2,500. I think that could be that one may cash.
Yeah.
I have a strange feeling there.
I don't mind either one of those two in the middle there. The Erik Cole at 25-1 or Gary Woodland at 22-1. I worry about Gary's putter a little bit, but I think if he gets in the mix on Sunday, he's gonna make these guys' lives a little bit more difficult. I think it's very wide open. Obviously, there's a lot of golf to be played, and we saw the scoring and how it's going to change throughout the day. So it's pretty open considering we still have the two big boys at the top.
Yeah, good on Bo Hostler. I see Brandon Wu's up there, had a good day, and he had the final round of 63 last year too. And I thought about him for a while, especially in the best bets, I think it was, because he had a good number. But to see Bo Hostler come back and play well, that's good to see. And he must have a lot of confidence. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's somewhat in the mix come Sunday afternoon.
All right. Well, we will see how Friday goes, and we'll be back to recap round 2, and then obviously we'll do the same after rounds 3 and 4. For now, though, big thanks. Producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes, and Mark Immelman. Oh, what a hard life. Mark Immelman in Mexico watching golf. I'm
going to send you that picture now. In fact, for the folks watching, I'm going to put it on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm going to tag Rick Run Good from the rooftop bar in about T-minus 10 minutes.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. At Mark_Immelman. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.